Hi, I'm Cynthia Kuehl, and I'm here today with my colleague from Lerners, Lisa Munro. Over the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about 5 key topics in arbitration and providing my perspectives as arbitration counsel and Lisa's perspectives as arbitrator. We're going to be talking about how to choose an arbitrator, how to make the most of that first procedural meeting, when, whether, and why to challenge an arbitrator, and if you don't like that award, what to do about it. But first, we're going to talk about the benefits of arbitration, and for that, we're going to start with Lisa.
In my view, my role as arbitrator is to help the parties achieve the objectives they set for themselves when they chose arbitration. They chose to not go to court for particular reasons, and those are usually one or all of speed, efficiency, and confidentiality. Speed is much more easily achieved in arbitration because the process is much less formal. So matters can be decided without formal notices of motion, often in conference calls or brief meetings, and it's easy to schedule because all that's necessary is for parties to be available and counsel and the arbitrator to be available. You don't need to worry about the court scheduling. Efficiency comes because the arbitrator helps design a process that works for that specific dispute. So in court, parties must use the rules of civil procedure. They are a one-size-fits-all process which works for many cases but not all cases. And in arbitration, there's a real opportunity to design a creative process that is customized for the needs of that specific dispute. So not every dispute needs full discovery, and I would venture to say few do. There may be opportunities for parts of the hearing to take place via written submissions instead of orally. And so there are many opportunities that the arbitrator can use his or her expertise to assist the parties in creating a process that will result in greater efficiencies than you can achieve in court. Confidentiality is the last benefit that many parties cite when they choose arbitration over litigation. And it's very difficult to get confidentiality orders in court. So what can you do in arbitration? It all depends on what parties are trying to achieve. Are they concerned about commercially sensitive trade information, which may mean certain kinds of documents need to be protected? Or are they worried about maintaining confidentiality over testimony that witnesses give? All of those things can be accommodated in arbitration. But the most significant role for the arbitrator, I think, that provides a benefit to parties is case management, which you simply cannot get in the court process. There simply are not the resources for that. And that allows parties to have a single decision maker from beginning to end who is moderating that dispute and understands the complexity of the issues and can help take it from the beginning through to hearing. So when issues arise, as they always do in the middle of court proceedings, they can be dealt with quickly by someone who understands them. And that is a huge benefit. It also allows the arbitrator to do what I think is critical, and that is allow parties to actually communicate with one another. It's amazing how often in courtroom litigation the counsel don't actually talk to one another. In arbitration, that can never happen. Parties and their counsel have to talk to one another, and that inevitably results in the resolution of small disputes, sometimes the entire dispute, but even small disputes that narrows the issues, again, helps create efficiencies. And one of the biggest tools that the arbitrator can use is his or her experience, which is often in process management and making sure that whatever individual issues the parties see as insurmountable, the arbitrator has strategies to help move them towards a hearing and finality, which is ultimately what the parties want, a decision.
As arbitration counsel, clients come to you either because they have an arbitration clause in a contract already, or sometimes they have court litigation, but they're looking for a different solution. And I think it's really important as arbitration counsel to be able to speak to them confidently about what the benefits of arbitration may be for them, but also, as you pointed out, Lisa, to really understand why it is they're choosing arbitration, whether they chose it a long time ago in a contract or whether they're choosing it today. You're quite right. Speed, efficiency, confidentiality are pretty prominent among the reasons. But one of the driving reasons for that is that a lot of times arbitration clauses are in contracts that are going to continue. So these are people who have ongoing business relationships, and what they don't want is protracted court litigation, which is going to cost them a lot of money. It's going to be delayed, but also it has the potential to aggravate a relationship that they're going to be in long term. What they want is this dispute to be fixed today or as soon as an arbitrator can reasonably deal with it, so that they can get on with what they're actually good at doing, which is business. They don't really want to be good at doing litigation. So part of one of the benefits of discussing about arbitration is to say, if you're in a relationship ongoing with someone else, here's what arbitration can offer you. And that is speed and efficiency oftentimes, for the reasons I've discussed, and all the reasons you've discussed as to the process that you can actually adopt to achieve those goals. Confidentiality is interesting because people presume arbitration is confidential, and it's not. Oftentimes it's private. And if that is one of the primary drivers of why your client is choosing arbitration, then you better keep that in your mind for when later on you're talking about process, you're making decisions about appeals, because sometimes you can inadvertently end up in court. So from my perspective, particularly for clients who have ongoing business relationships, I want to talk about those things with them to understand if that's what they want to achieve by choosing arbitration. The other thing is a little bit about what you suggested about case management, but it really is about choosing your arbitrator. I don't know how many times I'm going into court and I want to know who is this judge, and then I'm looking them up and trying to figure out all the details. And because you're kind of stuck with whoever the court chooses for you, and you're not stuck. You get to choose your arbitrator, and you get all those benefits of case management, but you also get the benefit of those arbitrator skills that you've researched and thought about. And so from my perspective, that's one of the key benefits, and that's why in episode 2, we're going to talk about how to choose an arbitrator that makes sense.